Hi guys. So I have realized I have always had a really big fear of showcasing any type of vulnerability and really opening up about a weakness of mine that I feel anyone can use against me. And why I'm afraid of that is because I always want to project myself as a strong individual so that I can be a role model for anyone else. But when I look at the people I look up to, these people are authentically themselves, mental health and all, like disability and all of these things. And those are the people I look up to the most because they're real and they make you feel less alone. And whether I have 5 people or 100 people listening, if I can make someone else feel less alone by opening up about my story and how I feel, then I'm gonna do it. Because I feeling alone, not being alone, because I don't need to be alone. I'm not alone. I know I have support. I know I have love. I know I have family. I know I have friends. Feeling alone is different though. And for someone to feel alone and misunderstood, I don't want that for anyone. And I never have. My biggest goal is to make sure people feel comfortable in who they are and to help people understand what they do and what they say can affect others, can affect themselves. Like, I just want to be able to help anyone I can. So, I'm going to try to do that today, and I'm going to try to tell my story about my journey with anxiety. And basically, that starts December before COVID. That was when I first went to the doctor ever for my mental health. I walked into the doctor's office terrified. I didn't want to be there. Every thought in my head told me to turn around and leave. I got escorted to like the little room they put you in to wait for the doctor. I was sitting in the chairs, knees tucked into my chest, chin resting, looking down, panic in my eyes, like trying not to hyperventilate. My like heart rate was up, like it was I didn't know what I was going to say. And like the doctor came in and I started talking and like within seconds started crying. I didn't even know how to explain, like how do you explain to some stranger that you're sad for no reason? Because walking into that office, I thought I had depression and that was it. And after that whole process with her, she diagnosed me, which again, family doctors only have so much say in what they can do for mental health. So she put me on a list to have a phone call with a psychiatrist. She talked about potential therapy, but I didn't look into it then. And she diagnosed me with major depression and generalized anxiety disorder. So those were my first two diagnoses. And she put me on a medication that was supposed to curb both of those, the anxiety and the depression. She also told me how these kind of go hand in hand. I said, okay. So I start this medication, and like I walked out of that office and I did not think I had anxiety. I was like, people get stressed over stressful situations all the time. People like get stressed being social or standing up in front of a crowd and talking all the time. I watch it happen all of like school. Like that's normal, is it not? Like I didn't understand, and she didn't really explain it to me. So I start this medication, and I remember once the effects started to take place, I made a phone call, and I hate calling people. My family's always made fun of me for it. I wouldn't even order pizza. Um, it just like, I hated it. And I made a phone call once to a business that I needed to. And I remember my heart rate stayed low, my breath was the same, like my hands weren't any more sweaty than they normally are. Like I was like, is this what normal people feel like? That's an odd sensation. And I remember my doctor asking, she's like, okay, so like, how's the medication going? And I was like, well, I mean, I'm still sad for no reason, but like, I think the anxiety might be lessened because I can make phone calls now without worrying. And that's crazy. um, And she's like, okay, but I really want to curb both of those. Like, I want to work on the depression and the anxiety. So she put me on a new medication, which you guys kind of know the story of. I ended up in the ER overdosing on serotonin because I was prescribed too many similar medications that were increasing my re-up intake of serotonin. Um, and so I obviously had a fear of medication after that, and I stopped all of them. And at that time, because that was at the beginning of COVID, at that time I had just associated all of my sadness and my anxiety and my stress in life to COVID. I graduated university during COVID. Then it was like, I have a degree and no career path. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I had no idea what kind of job I wanted to do. I didn't know how to find a job. No one's hiring during COVID. It was the very beginning of the pandemic. Like, we were barely allowed to leave our houses. Um, and I just associated all of that with COVID. And like, then I got a job, which made me happier. And it got me out of the bed, it got me out of the house, it got me doing things, meeting people, socializing. So, like, thank God for that job. But I was still anxious. And I have never taken a sick day in my life prior to that job. Whether I was physically sick or like not, I never took a sick day. I didn't need one. I could push through anything. Like, it didn't matter. And I used all of the sick days that I was allotted, and every single time it was because of anxiety. And I never realized how bad my anxiety truly was until that year. Because my anxiety, like, small things that my anxiety caused, I was a fidgeter. I always, like, I bought anxiety rings now, and they're great because I used to rub my knuckles raw playing with rings up and down like this, and just like rubbing these knuckles raw. Like, sometimes they would bleed because I would play with my rings too much, or I needed to fidget with things, or anything like that. When I get anxious, I bite my cheeks like this. And I don't really know why I do that, but I know it happens, and I'm much more aware of it now. I make awkward jokes. Like, there's so much anxiety in me that people don't like see for anxiety, I feel. Because every time I've told people anything like about this stuff for the first time, people are always surprised. And I love that feeling. The fact that I can hide everything I feel like that well enough that people are like, you don't seem anxious at all. I'm like, if only you knew. But it makes me happy that I can at least muster up enough energy every time that when I am when I'm out in public, I can make sure that it's not obvious. Going to grocery stores stresses me out. Going to new locations stresses me out. Talking to people on the phone still stresses me out, but I've gotten a lot better about it. People talking about future and about money, that stresses me out. Me thinking about my future and money. I know I make a good amount of money. Like, I have a good amount of money for a 26-year-old, and I will stress if it drops even by like dollars. Like, I learned about investments, and learning about investments is so scary because they're like, don't watch it. And I remember when I first started investing money, all I did was watch it. And they're right. Do not watch it. It fluctuates up and down like no tomorrow. So things like that, like, everything just spiked stress in me. And it got so bad that I would be sleeping 12 plus hours. I would stay in bed. It would be so hard for me to get out of bed. I would prolong anything, like, so I could stay in bed. And like, there was a good duration of time where every morning I woke up and I would either throw up or feel like I had to throw up because I was so physically anxious in my sleep that I would wake up. And I'm like learning now that a big tie to my digestive issues, because they tested me for all of it. They tested me for celiac. They tested me for intolerances. They tested me for all of this to figure out why my digestive system is so poor and why like I have no idea what triggers everything. It's literally like playing Russian roulette every time I eat. And anxiety plays a big role in that too, because anxiety causes digestion issues. So I lose drastic amounts of weight anytime I go through these spurts where I get so physically anxious. And this has happened multiple times. My weight fluctuates up and down by 10 plus pounds. I don't really have 10 plus pounds to lose, but somehow I manage to do it, and it's so unintentional. And half the time I don't even notice it's happening until it's like that. Like right now, I am about over 10 pounds lighter than I was a month ago. I don't have a scale anymore because I used to also weigh myself religiously and get anxious about the numbers I would see. So I don't keep a scale with me. I just try to make sure I feel physically healthy and that I look physically healthy. And I try my best. And when I'm anxious and my stomach is in pain, like I try my best to force myself to eat something. I try my best to eat 2 meals a day. I try my best to find snacks, things that I can just eat to keep my energy and my health going, because I don't want to be like this. And it's very difficult for me to be like this. So it got so bad that I had to call my doctor again. But I had a new family doctor. I haven't met him yet. He seems very nice. We talked on the phone. And I told him, I'm like, this is affecting my life now. Like before it was like, okay, I want to take care of this if I can. Like, let's try stuff, let's work it through. But now I'm like, it's hard to get out of bed. It's hard to go to work. It's hard to not cancel plans on all my friends. It is hard to talk about anything. The idea of me talking to people about things would stress me out to the extent of like I would make plans when I was happier, cancel them all because I was anxious, or reschedule and then cancel again. It was affecting me so much. And I was like, I need to fix this. Like, I can't do this anymore. This is too much. And he added another diagnosis for me. Oh, I forgot the part where I did finally, after a year on a wait list, get to talk to a psychiatrist on the phone for 10 minutes. Where they said, well, you sound like you're better, because I was in a good mood that day. I said, okay, thank you. So this family doctor added a new diagnosis because he was saying how it's not actually normal for people to have panic attacks that frequent. And I didn't even really know that I knew, obviously, but I just tied that into the anxiety. But apparently panic disorder is a whole different disorder, so come from the same family. But it was like getting an email would send me into a full-blown panic attack. Like, the biggest thing is when people are like, we need to talk, and don't tell you it, or I have a story to tell you. Anything like that. If you tell me you need to tell me something and are not planning on telling me in that very moment, please don't tell me. Like, just wait until you can tell me the story, because telling me that you have a story, good or bad, telling me that we need to talk, good or bad, telling me like anything like that, skyrockets my anxiety. I will go into a full-blown shaking panic attack. So, future reference for anyone listening to this, please don't do that to me. I don't care if you're going to tell me that I won $1 million. Tell me when you're ready to tell me, and don't tell me you need to tell me. Ooh, I'm really trying to be better about it, but I am not. That I have not succeeded in getting better at that. Phone calls, yes. That, no. So he talked to me about medication. I told him how skeptical I was, that I like almost died. I'd rather not. He's like, okay, but that first medication, like you said that it helped curb some of that anxiety. I'm like, true. He's like, okay, so let's try that one again. So I go on that one for a few months, and that's what sent me into mania. And if I did not stop that medication, the mania would have killed me. Because I was not sleeping, I was exercising an insane amount, I was losing weight again, like I was not eating, like I don't even know how I generated the energy I did, but it was not healthy. And so I stopped that medication on my own because I was like, I'm not doing this to myself again. Like, I can't afford to keep going to the ER because of this. And he also got me to do therapy. And I found a therapist. It took me a long time to even look through. You literally browse through like you're shopping for clothes. You get a picture of their face, a little bit of their like credentials, their like price and like what they focus on, and then give you a little bit of their personality. And then you like book a consultation so you can like decide if you like them or not. I found the perfect therapist for me. She was amazing. And she really helped me understand the root of my issues. Like, it's one thing to be like, and she was telling me, because I had tried therapy the first time, but I did cognitive behavioral therapy. And that focuses on the symptoms. And this is what she was telling me. That will focus on trying to treat your symptoms. Oh, like you're panicking? Well, let's teach you breathing and coping mechanisms. Whereas she was focusing on, okay, well, why does this make you anxious? Let's figure that out. And taking it all back to like the root of the problem and helping me understand why I am like this helps me better take care of myself. So therapy was the most helpful thing I've ever done, and I recommend it to anyone. And I know there's a lot of therapists that do not connect with their patients at all. Finding a good therapist is so important, and mine was perfect for me. And so I like worked with her for a few months, and we really got through a lot of stuff. And I finished therapy because she was like, you are so self-aware. You are so understanding of your own problems and what causes them, and you're really learning how to deal with them yourself. And I really was, and I still am. But I still get moments where I get so physically ill because of my anxiety. And it's crazy to me because, again, like, I can handle any physical illness. Like, I had COVID and I was fine. I get chronic bronchitis when I don't get my flu shot and I'm fine. I've had the flu, the chicken pox, like whatever. I'm always fine. And then it's like a little bit of anxiety and panic and I can't take it anymore. Like, that's crazy to me. But the fact that I'm even talking about this right now and telling you guys this is such a huge step for me because I really try to avoid to tell anyone. I really try not to showcase my weakness. I really try not to get the pitiful looks that are associated with telling someone that you're struggling. Because I don't want anyone to treat me any differently. I am the same person I was prior to anyone knowing this information. I am the same person that people associate with being normal or strong. I am the same person. Just because there's times where I struggle and times where random things spike my anxiety or cause me to panic, like, I physically shake at night for no reason. Night is the worst. Sleep time is the worst. I get chronic nightmares when I'm anxious. I like toss and turn like crazy. I barely sleep or I sleep too much. Well, no, I don't sleep too much. That's not the issue. I don't think I would stay in bed for 12 hours if I was actually actively sleeping that entire time. But I have nightmares. I toss and turn. I can't stop thinking. I am anxious in my sleep. I wake up in cold sweat. Like, I wake up feeling violently ill. So it affects a lot more than just causing stress. And that was when I started to realize, okay, so maybe anxiety and panic was like the problem all along. Because like I said, and my doctor told me, anxiety and depression go hand in hand a lot, and it's a chicken and egg situation. We don't know which one caused which. You get really sad for no reason, that's going to cause you anxiety. You get really anxious for no reason, that's going to cause you sadness. It's going to make you feel alone inside your own mind. Whether you're alone or not, you could have all the support in the world, all the love in the world, and you could still feel alone. And that's what's crazy to me. Because I know. I know that people love me and support me, and I know that. But that doesn't change what happens in my brain. And I'm doing so much better. Like, I'm not coming on here to tell you that I'm defeated. I'm not defeated. I find ways to motivate myself. I find ways. Does it take time? Yes. Do I have a vicious cycle of having low motivation and my apartment becoming a mess? And then me getting a random burst of motivation, doing my laundry, cleaning all my dishes, putting everything away, sweeping the floor, like making everything spotless. Like, yes, I do. That's like a weekly thing. But I still get out of bed. I still go to work. I still push myself to do everything I can. And I'm still growing and I'm still learning. And it's always going to be a battle. I'm never going to be cured. And I don't need to be because I've grown so much stronger because of this. And like, I just feel like it's made me become a better person and a more understanding person.